Cities are growing at a rapid pace, and with global population increase projections, it's only correct to assume that urbanization will continue to rise throughout the globe. But what about them? We sometimes forget that we, the human species, aren't the only one that inhabits this planet. Our Earth ecological system thrives on biodiversity. So before we forget, we must take action. First off, what is biodiversity? Biodiversity refers to a variety of living organisms on Earth, including plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms. We need biodiversity in order to ensure the health and resilience of an ecosystem, of which that ecosystem provides us humans with essential resources. From food to clean water to medicine, and for all intensive purposes other than the transactional benefit we get, we really have to think on our moral responsibility. As the most influential species, we have the obligation to protect other forms of life and preserve nature for future generations. So in consideration of the growth of our urban metropolis, what can we do to ensure the thriving of these biodiverse ecosystems? Enter caring for country and biodiversity corridors. With our existing urban planning, we need to safeguard areas where greeneries, parks, wetlands have been preserved for the locals and the native flora and faunas. In addition, possible proposal of extending those green spaces to provide for both the communities and wildlife.
With this pretext, we choose a study area that is close to the metropolis and lack green spaces in some area, and that's how we got to looking at the Stonington Council.
Located between 3 and 13 kilometers southeast of Melbourne CBD, the municipality covers South Yarra, Toorak, Kooyong, Pramana, Windsor, Armadale, Malvern East, and a small section of Glen Iris. Within this area, there's a green corridor that runs along where the train track is located, all the way from Cosmo Park North in South Yarra to Markham Reserve in Malvern East.
Using QGIS and the plugin Valhalla, we try and access the accessibility of green spaces within the Stonington Council. The plugin allows for visualization of a roughly 10-minute walk from your point, in this case, the parks. From the visualization, we can see that the area has gaps in parks and greenery spaces for public access, especially within Upper South Yarra, Toorak, and pockets within Melbourne.
Within the pre-test of biodiversity, we chose 4 different animal species for our study: a Russian blackbird, red fox, brown tree frog, and the eastern short-necked turtle. Using data from Atlas of Living and looking at how many times these animals have been observed in the area through between 1980, shown in blue, 2000, shown in yellow, and 2020, shown in red, we can see that the Toorak area has seen the least observation of all species. Especially when taking a look at the observation of the brown tree frogs and eastern short-necked turtles, we can see that they are almost never spotted within the area. We can say that from our studies so far, the lack of green spaces are what deters these animals from settling within the area. For an ecosystem to thrive, we need those animals to continue cohabitating within an area, so we should find ways to attract them, and for that, we need more parks and green spaces.
To determine an area for the construction of parks, we need to look at the overlays over the area where restrictions can be set in place, like the heritage overlay. Using this heritage overlay map by the Victorian government, we can see all the property parcels that have restriction in their modification due to their significance, either having important heritage or has significant neighborhood character. As aforementioned, we wanted to focus on the Toorak area, so zooming in and using satellite images and data from the web, we map out land parcels that are unused or used as parking spaces to be redeveloped as those parks. From our mapping, we picked out 4 main areas for these parks: 571 Toorak Road, 16 St. Catherine's Lane, 606 State Road 26, and 20 Albany Road, all of which are unused land as of recording. Overlaying this mapping with our previous Valhalla map, we can see that the parks will cover most of that area that's underserved currently. Of course, it's not going to fully serve that void, but starting small is better than nothing.
Going back to our park proposal, we need to determine what type of habitats the animals we study needs. Of course, we are going to introduce native species of trees and plants within the area, such as the river red gum, silver dollar gum, yellow hakea, blue chakranda, and sugar gum. These trees and plants will act as shelters for birds such as our blackbird. For our fellow wetland animals like frogs and turtles, they need shallow seasonal and freshwater ponds, native raids and cut stones away from human activity. Along with that are baskin logs and nesting mounds for them to reproduce and repopulate the area.
As aforementioned, we want to propose an ecological park with habitats supporting the animals. The park will consist of dense urban forests on the outer perimeter, with those trees also allowing for birds of all species to nest. Pathways through the parks have been constructed for human foot traffic and to deter them from the forests, keeping the bog area quiet. We've added a main big pond in the middle of the park that can support other faunas like fish, in addition to collecting rainwater for the animals to utilize. Along with that are secondary ponds that the main pond can flow into, allowing for a migration of wetland animals, but also acting as a secondary basin protecting the surrounding from extreme floods. In addition to that is a nested cage pavilion built to help support the birds, but also acting as a space for human recreational use, where people could lounge and birdwatch as well. The structural footing will be constructed out of carbon frame with black wood as the flooring and the cage structure out of bamboo. We also wanted to support the frogs and turtles in other ways, and so in the ponds of the park we'll be adding in floating marshes that they can use as shelter, acting as another quiet zone away from human activity. It will be constructed from mycelium brick, acting as a floating device with a layer of soil for reeds and other plants. The roots can also puncture through the bricks and into the water, extracting problematic nutrients. And with that, we welcome you all to our St. Catherine's Ecological Park.